Cael, it seems like you guys are willing to go out and wrestle the smaller schools like the Lock Havens and the Binghamtons, and even last year was Cal State Bakersfield. So what's it mean for you to be able to take your program to these smaller schools?
Well, Binghamton's 4 hours up the road. It's they've had some great teams. They have some good kids. They're close to our program, and we're just looking to get matches in, just like they are. They're looking to get matches in. So it's not like we're doing anybody a favor. We're just competing, and they're competing, and ultimately progressing towards getting ready for the national championship. That's what it's all about.
I'm curious how practice time shakes out for guys who are on the team now, but are working with the freestyle guys before practice might start. See Zane, Bo, and looks like Nick's over there too. How does that balance out for them? Are they doing less than with you guys on days they're working with freestyle?
They either wrestle earlier in the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club practice, or they wrestle in our practice. Right? They don't wrestle in both practices.
Right. Okay.
Right. So. But a lot of our guys are in here today. Obviously, you can see we have Coach Slay here. He's the head coach at the Pennsylvania Regional Training Center, which is Drake and UPenn. Olympic coach for the last 8 cycles, so great guy, good friend of ours, and just we're taking full advantage of him. He brought his guys down here. He's got maybe 5 guys here that train with him full time. So 3 hours away, why it would be crazy not to be training with each other.
In what ways does it help these guys who are on the team now to get these different voices? Maybe there's an obvious answer there, but maybe in specifics.
They don't need to hear from me and Cody and Casey and Jake every day. I think anytime there's a lot of ways to do things, and fundamentals are fundamentals, but we just want to create a culture and an environment where our guys can improve. It doesn't have to come from me or Cody or Casey or Jake. We just we want to give our guys every chance to take advantage of every opportunity to get better, and that's what we're doing.
You've got this one Sunday, then a week, then a couple of weeks before you get into the main schedule. But is this more of an important time for development as opposed to in January, February? It's more worrying about recovery and stuff and a little more time.
It depends. Best time for development's in the off season. But this is, you can always improve. We want that mentality where our guys are not trying to win and lose. They're trying to make progress and focusing more on principles of success versus the scoreboard. So, this is a time to improve, and we're going to keep trying to improve all the way to the end. And freshmen are probably going to improve more than a junior and a senior, but ultimately that's up to the kids on the team and whether they're willing to improve during the year or not.
I remember Nico was a guy who you'd always say you have to kind of maybe grab a hold of him and tell him to stop, working as hard as he did so he wouldn't burn himself out. Is Nick like that at all, or how are they maybe similar?
Yeah, they're
or
real
different?
similar in that way. Nick's a guy you have to kind of drag him out of the room every day, but he's coachable, and he understands that, and that's the half the battle, because if a kid doesn't understand that, they come back on their own, or they're doing things, and that's fine if they want to come back on their own, but you have to have open communication, and we have to be on the same page, and we have to know what they're doing, just so we can help them prepare. It's a long season, a lot of time still left, so being your best at the right times it's important to know what you're doing throughout the whole year.
I know you and Coach Franklin are close somewhat professionally. I guess outside of that realm, what is your relationship like with him, and have you guys gotten a chance to see the Big Ten football trophy yet? Or?
No, we haven't seen the trophy. We were watching it on TV just like everybody else was. But Coach Franklin's been great with our program. He'll meet with recruits, and anything you ask him to do, he's willing to do it. And very good at what he does, obviously. But just a great recruiter, great guy to get in front of our recruits when we try not to bother him too much. He's so busy, but he's a guy that we text back and forth. We don't see each other a lot, he's on the other side of campus, but definitely a guy that I've got a lot of respect for, and just the way he does things. We're just trying to learn, and he's very organized, and he's on top of the game recruiting wise, and so anytime I can pick his brain and his staff's brain, and they've been very open to that, so we appreciate that.
I know you talked about 41, maybe wanting to get Cade some looks there. Has that changed? Is that still the same? And where are you at with 41 right now?
No, Cade's just got to be healthy. He hasn't been 100% healthy yet. He wrestled in one tournament, but he'll be in Reno in well, it's less than 2 weeks. We'll be in Reno. So that'll be the next tournament where we have guys competing. We can take multiple guys. I think 15 is the plan. So we'll have multiple guys at 41, multiple guys at 74, and then a couple other weights as well.
Cael, is there any sort of timeline you guys put together at the beginning of the season? Like, you want the guys to be at this point of the year, or anything like that?
Well, I mean, we plan out every year, and we have every practice from the beginning of my coaching career, and in detail. So we study history, right, and make notes, and we make adjustments, and if things work, we make note. If they don't work, we make note. But every team's different, every schedule's different, so you got to be able to adjust. But I think, if you're trying to be real strict on this is where we want to be, I mean, what does that mean? Does that mean conditioning-wise? Does that mean everyone's weight's certain? We have 10 unique individuals, and catering and helping each one of those guys be at their best is. That's the challenge, right? So I don't think there's anything that we're set. This is where we got to be right now. The idea is just progress and make progress daily, and if we do that, we're going to be fine.
They always put a lot of value and stock into the Southern Scuffle for the look it would give you guys preparing for the NCAA tournament. How does Reno compare to that? And are you? That's one I'm maybe unfamiliar with compared to the Scuffle.
Yeah, Reno's a one-day tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as competitive as the Scuffle. I mean, the Scuffle is outside of the. I mean, each weight is different. I mean, you could argue that there are weights that are tougher than the Big Ten Conference. I mean, it just depends on who's in what weight, but it's right there. Gives you a good idea where your team is because you're competing against, Minnesota's been there, Oklahoma State's been there, Missouri's been there. There's just been a lot of great teams. Cornell's there, North Carolina State is there. So. It gives you a better idea where you are as a team compared to the rest of the field, but matches are matches, and we just want to get our guys competing. It didn't really work out this year because I think it was a good idea to wrestle in the Scuffle and then turn around 3 days later and travel to Minnesota and Nebraska. So I'm not too worried about it either way. We like the Scuffle, great tournament, great competition, but we'll adjust and be perfectly fine.
Are you taking everybody out there?
To Reno?
Yeah.
15 guys.
15?
Yeah.
Cody said on the radio the other day that he thinks he has a feel for, when he's watching Jason, what he's going to do. But every now and then he just watches him and he says he chuckles.
Yeah.
Is Jason a little more bold this year, do you think? Is that even possible? A little more aggressive, willing to try more things?
Jason is Jason. I mean, he's always been bold. I mean, the things he does in matches, he does those in practice. I mean, that little dive roll he does. I mean, when I wrestle with him, he does that to me 10 times a match. So, but it finally got put on video, and Flo got it out there and got some hits on their website over it, kind of thing. But I mean, Jason's been doing that. He did that in high school. But he's always trying to get better, always trying to learn and do new things, and he is fearless. But I think if you know him well enough, you can kind of, just like anybody else, it's just like your kids, I have 2 boys, and I know in certain situations they're going to do certain things, and good and bad. And so if you know your kids well enough in a program, you have a pretty good idea what they're trying to do and what they're going to do, I guess. So I don't think there's any big surprises with Jason, but I'm just like everyone else. His attitude is great. He just loves to wrestle. He's having fun, and he's competing for the team. He's thinking bigger than himself. I just sit and smile and watch him like everybody else does. He's a lot of fun to watch.
How has video changed the game? I mean, with flow, and it seems like you can pull that up and watch technique. There's tape on everybody, or maybe there might not have been.
Yeah, 20 years ago it was tough to get tape. There wasn't a lot of tape. It's different. I think it just keeps you on your toes. You got to keep moving forward. I think 20 years ago you would rely, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, a lot more on reputation too, right? Like the papers saying how tough this guy is down there from Oklahoma or North Carolina, but you don't ever see him. So now you can break down film and you can get a good eye on somebody. You can see their strengths, you can see their weaknesses. So I think it just makes you just, as an athlete and as a coach, you just got to continue to look to get better, right? Because there's no secrets.
Would you have been better with video? I'm just kidding. That's a joke.
I don't know.
Cael, can you talk about what the plan is at 174? I mean, you've had both Gino and Shakur wrestle and the dual meet, and they've wrestled each other, obviously, at the Keystone Classic. So is it going to be the same thing with going back and forth with them competing?
Well, eventually here we'll go with somebody and make that decision. I don't think we're at that point yet. They both had chances to kind of really go out there and take advantage of an opportunity. If Gino goes out and beats Shakur convincingly at the Keystone Classic, he's probably got the nod, right? If Shakur goes out there and has a great performance against Lehigh, well then that's a tough kid, and maybe you start leaning towards him. But so they're both back and forth, both All-American candidates and potential. They'll wrestle again at the Reno tournament if they got to get to each other. But we're not in any way set at that weight class yet.
So did you see anything from Shakur against Lehigh that you talked to him about what he needs to improve, or from his match?
Yeah, always. Whether they win or lose, there's things that we're improving on, and you got to build off of positives, right? That's how people are programmed and how they work. So he did some nice things. Just got to finish, stay in better position. But he had a tough opponent too. Kid beat him last year. We were hoping Shakur make a jump, but he's capable of that. He just got to do it.
Coach, I know you talked on Sunday about Nick's consistency, but in his entire transition from high school to college, where have you seen him grow the most?
He has a great feel for the sport, so he makes adjustments quickly. He'll even in his match on Sunday, like you said, he was close to scoring early in the match, and then the second period he hit a similar position but finished a little differently. So he's just got the ability to adjust in his matches, and he figures things out, and that's pretty rare. That doesn't happen a lot. Most of the time kids have to drill something 1,000 times before they understand a position and before they're able to make minor adjustments. He has that gift. He had that gift with just the tenacity and the mental toughness and the fortitude and the discipline and the endurance. I mean, he's got a lot going for him.